Good morning, everyone. So, before starting to today's class, let me ask you that whatever journal I am sharing, the paper I am sharing and discussing with you, are you able to understand? Are you able to see the correlation between the earlier lecture from the notes and their findings or the conclusions of the research? Or is it that you are finding it very much difficult to understand the research findings? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I'm telling. Can you hear me now properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So what I am asking that whatever I have discussed, I have shared with you the class notes and the background notes and the appendices and whatever experiments I have discussed. And when I am discussing the journal papers, are you able to correlate them? Or is
Yes,
it
sir.
that,
Yes, sir.
okay. Most of you are okay with that? Or let me stop the journal sharing then. If it if
Sir,
it is if it is very much difficult to you, then I have to stop the sharing of the journals.
sir, syllabus is going vast, sir.
No. It is not vast. Let me tell you. In the first note, I have discussed you only 4 chapters, and among the 4 chapters, the first chapters were very small, just like the introduction. The second chapter is the core in situ theory, drift theory. That's all. Nothing else. The third and fourth chapter was the important one. What the important one? Okay. In the second case, in the second note, the background one, it was also very much brief, 10 or 12, 10 or 15 pages, maybe maximum. Third, it was related to the experimental part. And all experimental part, I have shown you the data. I have asked all of you to please create your note for a brief paragraph, not the detailed one. I have shared you everything from the experiment and the data so that it is better for you for understanding. Or else I should have given you only some brief idea about the test. But in that case, if you are not seeing the results, it will be difficult for you to understand. That's why I have shared all this data. Okay. In the fourth note, I have discussed only 3 chapters, and all these 3 chapters, I have not touched all the things. I have skipped most of the things. Generally, I have discussed the main thing I have discussed from note 4 is the different type of reservoirs and mainly the desorption canister testing and its problems. If you see your class notes, you will be able to understand that. And then for the journals are not part of your viva, and this is only used for the findings. Okay, for the findings, for your enhancing or improving your knowledge, whatever you have learned from the notes. Is it okay now to understand? And then even if you are finding it difficult now, so let me reduce the number of journals. Okay, let me reduce the number of journals. Forget about whatever I have uploaded. I have discussed some of the journals, and today also I'll be discussing a few. Okay, and there is one good review paper that I wanted to show you because that review paper will give you so much information. Okay, that is the only one I'll be sharing on the Friday, tomorrow, and tomorrow's class I'll be discussing the revision. Okay, so tomorrow I'll be discussing only one review paper and the revision, and today let me discuss only 2 or 3 papers, whatever it is useful. Okay. The problem is that if you are sitting face to me, then it will be very much easy for me to discuss, and it is be very much easy for you to discuss. In this online section, you are not going to read every time whatever is discussed in the class, and it is only after so much time you are going to start the discussion, or maybe you are going to read the things. And I know that this is the very new thing. The Colbert method is not a very easy thing to understand, but I have discussed with you very brief and very important concepts, not extended part. Okay. I'll show you in the revision class what are the particular things I have discussed with you and what are the things you may skip. Okay, I have also highlighted some of the text in your material. Okay, so so let me continue and please be present tomorrow's class for one review paper discussion, a very good paper, and the revision class. Okay, and Monday, let me tell you that Monday there is a chance that ISRO will be visiting our department. Okay, and although their visit is maybe scheduled in the second half, and I have kept the viva on the first half. Okay, from 11 onwards. If it clashes, if there is a clash between this in the last minute, so you are having a class in 5 p.m. Monday. Do you have any class at 5 p.m. on Monday?
No, sir.
4 p.m.?
We have no class, sir, at 5 p.m., 4 p.m. Second half is free, sir.
For all of you, second half is totally free.
Yes, sir, Monday.
Oh, then very good. Then let me see the schedule. Okay. For the time being, I am setting the time for Viva at 11 a.m. If there is any such clashes, then I'll be informing in your WhatsApp group so that I can take one group of Viva on the Monday itself. Okay. Maybe it is 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. at the convenient time after knowing the schedule of the ISRO visit. Okay. Okay. So let's start with today's discussion. Let me share the screen. Yeah. So as I have mentioned that I have uploaded so many papers, okay? But as I can see that you may find some difficulty. So let me be very brief and be very choosy for some of the papers. This Bush and Ginsterblank, this is a review paper. And this is the paper I am very much eager to share with you. I'll be discussing this paper only tomorrow. Okay? And among the other papers, I have discussed up to Levi, and I have only discussed about the findings based on their experimental conditions, their sample, and so that you can correlate whatever you have learned. Okay. So today we'll start with the Sakurov. Okay. What this paper has done? This paper has discussed about some errors. Okay, as you have seen that I have discussed with you some uncertainty. So the topics of their research is the causes and consequences of errors in determining the sorption capacity of coals for carbon dioxide at high pressure. Okay, at high pressure means up to 10 megapascal or up to 8 megapascal and higher. Okay, this is for the carbon dioxide. And causes or consequences of errors. That means they have tried to find out the sources that are going to govern the sorption capacity and what are the effect, what are the things they are going to affect. Okay. So let me directly give you some idea about the experimental part. Yeah. They have measured based on the gravimetric method. There are three different methods: volumetric, related to the volume by measurement of the volume; manometric, by measuring the pressure and calculating the volumes. Okay, and then third one is the gravimetric. Gravimetric means with temperature and pressure, there are apparatus that is going to continuously monitor the weight. Okay, that is going to continuously monitor the weight. Actually, it is going to changing the density. Whatever density is going to change based on the temperature and pressure, that gravimetric analysis is based on the density. So you will be observing that most of the graphs are plotted with the density. Okay, the formula is more or less remaining the same. You can see that adsorption is then excess absorption, and then it is going to be related with the sample cell volume. And only the changes is that earlier whatever we have measured by the volume analysis with the initial and the final system, now they are going to do equilibrate based on the weight. Okay, and then they are going to see the errors in the different parameters. Okay, so first they have discussed the errors in the space volume. Space volume means you can see V cell minus V sample. That means in the sample cell it will be having some volume, and I have filled only some part with the coal. So obviously, whatever is the sample cell volume is much higher than the coal volume. So remaining part is the void volume inside the sample cell. Okay, so this void volume, actually this space is fixed. Obviously, if you take some container, some closed container, and you are filling with some material, obviously the void space within the sample, within the container will be fixed. But then it is changing. Why it is changing? Because I am using different type of gases, and all the gases are going to behave differently. Their dimension, their kinetic diameter is also varying. Okay, as I have mentioned to you that for helium, the kinetic diameter is 26 nanometer. For methane, it is 38 nanometer, and for carbon dioxide, it is 33 nanometer. So, depending on these changes in the kinetic diameter, the gas particles, although the volume, the void space volume may be constant, but the accessible volume with respect to different gases will be different. Okay, and that's why that can give some error. Okay, in this graph, in this two graph, you can see that whatever measurement they have done, you can see they have done with the gas density, and they are going to measure the excess absorption. Okay, in kg per ton, excess absorption is kg per ton, and gas density in kg per meter cube, SI system. Okay, you can see that whatever is the free space volume within the sample cell, that is going to differ. Okay, and then they are going to the dotted line, this A part. Okay, this A part is going to show you the excess absorption. Excess means that you are going to measure the original data and then 1% lower void volume. If you are going to consider that the void volume is changing or reducing 1% at each experimental step, you are going to get these two graphs. Whereas if you are going to check the excess absorption to the absolute absorption, you can see this is the excess absorption and this is the absolute absorption. And you know that the relation between this is changing you have to consider the soft gas density and the gas phase density, and from the correlation you will be able to calculate the absolute volume. Okay, you can see the nature of the absolute volume is going to change. See the nature. Okay, for the same experimental graph, the change, so that means there lies some error. Okay, so these error, you can also see that the for original sample and for the 1% lower void volume changes, the differences from the excess and the void volume, or differences from the absolute to the lower void volume, it is going to be significant at the higher densities. Higher densities is obviously related to the higher temperature pressure condition. Higher densities are relating to the higher temperature pressure condition. So as you can see that as the pressure is going to increase, the density is also going to increase, and the differences are much more prominent than the lower densities. Okay, so these errors, this is going to give you the errors, and this is significant with the temperature and the pressure. Okay, and this is the formula of the changing the absolute absorption with the experimental absorption with the gas phase density and the adsorbed phase density. Okay, in case of the volume, if you remember, we have just changed this with the excess volume, absolute volume, and the excess volume. Okay, there is nothing more changes. The second part of the discussion, they are going to see what are the other sources. Suppose there is a helium density determinations. Now, helium density means you are going to use the helium gas to measure the density. Okay. Now, depending on the properties of the helium, okay, the compressibility factor of the helium is going to increase with temperature and pressure, whereas the compressibility of the methane and carbon dioxide are going to reduce with temperature and the pressure. Let me show you a graph, another graph. Yes, this paper, this figure, can you see this paper also, everyone? Can you
Yes,
see
sir.
this figure, figure 3? Yeah, let me tell you something about the figure 3. You can see that with experimental pressure in kPa, the compositive factor of helium, methane and carbon dioxide is taken. This is for 40 degrees centigrade, whereas in the 30 degrees centigrade also you will be able to calculate. If it is a real gas, if it is an ideal gas, if it is an ideal gas, it will be remaining straight line. So the compositive factor will be remaining 1 and it will not change. It will be constant with the temperature and pressure. But you know that the gas will deviate and the real gas will deviate somewhat little from the ideal gas. So here you can see the green one is for the helium. Helium compositive factor is going to increase with the temperature and the pressure. Although it is a fixed temperature, but as the pressure is going to increase, the compositive factor is going to increase. Whereas for the methane and carbon dioxide, for methane it is going to decrease, but for carbon dioxide up to some temperature and pressure combination it is going to reduce steeply, and then after 9000 kPa it is more or less going to be stable. So there is no such change. This particular transition is depending on the supercritical temperature for the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide changes its property, and at this condition, at this critical temperature condition, carbon dioxide changes from gas to liquid, and that's why its density is not going to change typically. But let us discuss with the left side part, the subcritical part. Please consider that the pressure 8000 below, okay, 8000 and below. So if you see this, suppose this is the bifurcation. So you can see that compositive factor or helium is going to increase, but for methane and carbon dioxide it is going to decrease slowly and steeply. Increase in compositive factor means gases will be compressible. So the much more pressure, the gas particle will try to compress. If the gas particle will be compressed, okay, then what will happen? The same volume which earlier they have measured, now as the particle itself is going to be compressed, it will seem to be much more volume, because some more moles, some more particles can be located because it is compressed. Did everyone get this idea about the compressionality factor?
Yes, sir.
If helium is going to be compressed, its volume is going to be reduced. So for a fixed volume, whatever earlier temperature pressure condition, suppose 20 number of helium can be added, can be placed. Now as the kinetic diameter of the helium is going to be reduced, maybe 25 or 30 number of helium mole can be located, because composite vector is going to increase, so helium is compressed. But with respect to this carbon dioxide and methane, their composite vector is going to reduce. So they are not going to be showing that much compression like the helium. So with temperature, with the pressure, the methane composite vector is going to reduce. So slowly methane will reducing the compression, okay, and it will not show much more compression at the higher stage. For the carbon dioxide, it is again very much steep. So if at the lower pressure carbon dioxide is supposed to be very much compressed, at the higher pressure carbon dioxide is not going to show the very much compression, because its compositive vector is going to reduce, so it will be more or less remaining the same. So in that case, the newly located particles, it will be reduced for both of them. Okay, for helium it is increased, but for methane and carbon dioxide it will be reduced. So this is the observation. Now if you relate this observation to the behavior, whatever we are discussing in this paper, so then you can understand that whatever density, for the density measurement we are going to use the helium. So helium is being compressed with the higher pressure, we are going to get the density measurements, okay, but then again we are not going to take care of the compositive factor in the density changes, so that is a source of the error. Okay, the next discussion, 312, they are going to discuss the errors in the adsorbed phase density. What is the adsorbed phase density? Suppose that in the sample cell, there is a sample, okay, and in this sample, you are going to put some gas, we are going to channelize some gas, so some amount of the gas will be adsorbed, some amount of gas will be in the free space. Now, researchers have been shown that it is not that the void space is filled with the free gas phase. Sometimes it is also filled with some adsorbed phase gas. Okay, so if you are not going to check that gas, it will be giving some error. Okay, that is one point. And again, the adsorbed phase density, the free gas phase density and the adsorbed phase density, that are also going to change, that are also going to increase with temperature and pressure. Okay, now again, if I show you the earlier paper, if I show you some density, soft gas density, let me show you here. Yeah, this is the figure number 6. Please see the figure number 6. In this figure, you can see the gas density of carbon dioxide with the experimental pressure range at 40 degrees centigrade. You can see that up to 8,000 or 9,000, up to 8,000, it is going to be increasing in much more less manner. But then suddenly after that, it is going to increase very quickly. Okay. And then it is going to be again increasing in a lower manner, in a very much little steeper. Okay, it is becoming much more flatter, but there is a very much high transition. So whatever gas phase density you can see, it is nearly 130 or maybe 260. If you see this, okay, it is going to be very high at the higher pressure. It is reaching 780 kg per meter cube. So see the variation of the gas phase density. Okay, so like that also, the adsorbed phase density is also not constant. Okay, and this measurement is also going to give the sources of the error. Okay, the next point they have discussed is the compressibility of coal and the adsorbed phase. Now it's come the compressibility of the coal. Compressibility of the coal is related to the shrinkage and soiling. You have all understood about the shrinkage soiling effect, okay, that if during the gas absorption the coal soils and during the desorption the coal shrinks. So depending on this volume increment of coal, it will also give some error, because if the volume is going to increase, when you are going to present per ton of coal or per unit volume of coal, suppose kg per ton or cc per gram, then obviously its mass is also going to change. Okay, because the density is also going to change, its volume is also going to change. So there may be some changes depending on the mass. Okay, and that thing, if you are not going to consider, then again those things is going to give you the error. Okay, then the next point, they have seen that although at the normal cases helium is a non-adsorbable gas in the coal, but sometimes it is observed that helium, very little amount of helium can also be adsorbed in the higher temperature and the pressure. Okay, and this adsorption of the helium at higher temperature of the pressure is also going to give you some error. That helium adsorption graph is not shown here, but it is, they have mentioned here. The temperature variation, you already know that for temperature there is some error, so I'm not going to discuss this. Okay, so, and the soiling effect, see the soiling effect with 1% or with 2% coal increase, how much the soiling can take place. Okay, in presence of moisture, what is the effect? You know what is the effect of the moisture. So all these parameters can give some errors for this errors. Okay, and the particular problem is with the carbon dioxide, because for methane it is only the adsorption, whereas for the carbon dioxide it is the absorption, the adsorption, and the dissolution. Carbon dioxide at higher temperature and pressure, when it is in the supercritical stage, it is going to behave as a liquid, and it is dissolved into the rock structure or in the coal structure. So there lies also some error. Okay, So this is the findings of this paper, nothing more to be discussed here. Okay. Now, apart from this paper, let me show you some particular paper of Wang et al. Okay. Now, in this paper also, they have discussed about the hysteresis. Now, hysteresis, you have seen earlier that what are the changes of the temperature pressure condition. That's why the hysteresis is going to occur. Normally, the hysteresis is that for the ideal case, okay, this is the adsorption and the desorption graph will lie superimposed one after another. Okay, but this is not the case. So there is always some gaps. So this gap is called the hysteresis. Okay. And what are the reasons? They have identified about the reasons and they have seen if there is any chances of hysteresis and there any properties or any correlation of the hysteresis with the coal properties, coal rank, etc. So now they are going to measure the hysteresis, okay, for carbon dioxide and methane. And then they have seen, they have taken the help of the Bush paper. You can see that for methane, somewhat lesser hysteresis, but for carbon dioxide, sorry, this is for all the methane. For some sample, it is very less, some sample, it is very higher. Okay. And why the causes of hysteresis? Then again, if you are going to do this systematic, this cyclic adsorption and desorption, suppose you are going to do only the 4000 kPa and then you are going to desorb. So somewhat at the lower pressure, it will follow this place. So the hysteresis will be the first one. Suppose in the next stage, you are going to get 5000 kPa and then you are going to desorb. So it will follow this path. Again, at the finally, you are going to measure up to 6 kPa and then it is going to, you are going to do the desorption. So depending on the type of the desorption pressure or depending on the pressure condition, your hysteresis, you can see that it is going to increase and it is going to increase as the pressure increases. Okay, and you can see the nature of the desorption graph. The nature of the adsorption may be remaining the same, but nature of the desorption may be becoming very much steeper with the desorption where you are going to take the desorption. So obviously, when you are going to do the production from the coal bed in the reservoir, if your desorption graph is very much steeper, the steeper one, okay, this upper graph, this type of graph is very bad because it will, you have to go for very much pressure reduction to get very little production, whereas at the very lower pressure very high gas output will be coming. This type of graph we don't want. We don't want very flat graph of isotherm. So if your graph is more or less somewhat curvy like this, the smallest one, okay, the lowermost one, desorption graph, then what is happening? Even if you are going to desorb from this place to this place, you will get some amount of the desorbed gas component. So you will be getting some production. So the more steeper graph we don't want for the, it is not good for the production. Okay. And then for the causes and consequences, causes of this hysteresis, they have discussed that there may be the soft gas density phases, there may be the experimental temperature pressure variation, there may be the variation of the cold properties, okay, and for the changes of the kinetic diameter with the temperature and pressure for the adsorbed gases, it is going to vary. Okay, because some type of the coal, depending on the nature of the coal, some type of coal may retain most of the gases and so the hysteresis will increase. You can see for different cases, they have taken two different samples here for wet sample, for dry sample. Please look at also this. For dry coal, you can see for dry coal, the causes of hysteresis is also present, but it is somewhat less. Okay, this gas and this supercritical, this is for carbon dioxide. Okay, this part is for supercritical fluid. Carbon dioxide will become like liquid in this part. Whereas if you are going to consider the wet coal adsorption desorption, you can see that this is the blue and this green, the triangular bullets are for the adsorption and the desorption, and you can see very high condition of hysteresis are present. So obviously now we can conclude that if there is a water presence, the presence of water will increase the hysteresis. Okay. In the next case, if you see, they have taken some data from the early researcher and they are going to plot, they are going to model and they are going to plot the correlations. Okay, let me show you directly. Yeah, this is the correlation. You can see influence coefficient of this variation, okay, versus the moisture, how much the this moisture is going to vary the hysteresis. They have taken the influence coefficient, some parameter, okay, and they have calculated. So you can see that at some cases it is not similar. Sometimes the higher moisture percentage is also going to show limited hysteresis, whereas some lower percentage of the moisture is going to show you very high hysteresis. Okay, so this is not a fixed relation. And then you can see that with pressure, the influence coefficient is going to increase. So with increasing pressure, the influence on the hysteresis is also going to increase. So you may get very high hysteresis with the pressure. In the next case, they have depicted for different type of coal, okay, and they have shown you also the vitrin reflectance content with the influence function. So with the rank, if there is any rank dependency or if there is any coal type dependency, and these are the graphs, okay. Although it is, the correlation is very poor, you can see somewhat 0.074, 0.07, it is very poor, okay. In the experimental part, if it is more than 0.6, then only it will be considered as valid. So you can see here the data are more or less scattered. So there is no such particular correlation can be observed, okay. And so we cannot say that for a particular type of coal the hysteresis will be much higher or much less, okay. In this case, they are going to show the what is happening within the pore structure for lower pore case, for lower pressure case, for higher pressure case, okay. And you can see that for higher pressure, obviously the pore volume, the space, there will be much more absorption of this pore spaces, okay. And there will be some other volatile component that are also going to be present within the rock. They will be also taking some of the places. So actually the free space, or it is not actually the coal, it is also some moisture and the volatile matter, they are going to give rise about this hysteresis, okay. So this is one type of, another type of discussion taking the hysteresis, okay. And similarly, in case of soiling also, you know that the coal soiling is also occurring, okay. They have also discussed about the soiling. So when the coal soils, obviously it may not be able to 100% remaining to the earlier stage. Suppose during adsorption it soils, during desorption it shrinks, but at the end of desorption it may not be able to reach to the earlier location or earlier volume, because not all of the coal which soils earlier can be returned to the original condition. So in that case, if the soiling shrinkage is not going to be completed or not going to be ideally, if there is any gap between the soiling and the shrinkage path, then obviously there has to be some gap of the hysteresis also, because the volume, there is a volume changes, and so it can change the hysteresis, it can give rise to the hysteresis. So that is the thing they have discussed here, okay. So this paper is related to the hysteresis. Next, a simulation laboratory experiment, JSON, okay. Maybe this is the last paper for the day, because this is also a very unique discussion for JSON paper. Yeah, they have done some laboratory simulation by injecting some gas, okay. They have taken some adsorption first, methane, and then with the coal, partially saturated coal with methane, they have injected some higher gas like carbon dioxide, and then they have seen the ECBM scenario. ECBM, if you remember, ECBM is the enhanced coal bed methane scenario, okay. That means how the conventional CBM production can be improved, that is going to be observed in the ECBM scenario, okay. And you know that CO2 ECBM process, CO2 has the very high affinity with the coal. CO2 will be injected and CO2 will be absorbed, CO2 will be replacing the methane, and much more methane will be coming out than the normal gas production scenario, conventional gas production scenario. And at the same time, carbon dioxide will be sequestered or carbon dioxide will be adsorbed or storage. So this is very, very useful. Okay. Now let me show you what they have done. They have taken some gas setup. Okay. And what they have done, let me directly go to the adsorption. They have taken nitrogen, methane and carbon dioxide. Okay. So they have done the absorption and the resorption, and in this case you can also see that the hysteresis are present. And please see again the ratio of the nitrogen, methane and carbon dioxide. You can see for nitrogen it is approximately 200, okay, SCF per ton. For methane it is approximately 400, so it is already 1:2. But for carbon dioxide it is going as high as 1400, okay. So 1400, so 1:2 is to 7. So 1:2 is to 7. It is not that normal 1:2 is to 4. So you can see that at elevated temperature and pressure, this ratio can also vary. Again, another observation is that the hysteresis. And you can see that like the graph of nitrogen and methane, the carbon dioxide adsorption graph is much more steeper. So for the desorption of the carbon dioxide, you can see if you are going to start the desorption from this point, you have to come to this point, then only you will be getting only this much of the gas. Okay, suppose 100 SCF per ton gas. To get the 100 SCF per ton gas, you have to come from 900 psi to maybe 250 or 300 psi. So the more steeper the graph, the less earlier gas production, very less earlier gas production will be achieved. But then this is going to be steeply going to decrease. So at a very lower gas pressure, carbon dioxide gas production is coming out very quickly. Whereas for the methane and nitrogen, that is not the case. The desorption, in the absorption graph and the desorption graph, even then also here the desorption graph is become very much flatter, but this is not always. Sometimes you can see that like the bush paper, the desorption may not be that much of high, and the desorption may be going side by side. Okay. Again, they have done complete adsorption desorption, and then they have done some special type of work. What? They have done the adsorption, and like earlier I have said, they have checked the desorption, started the desorption at three different stages. Suppose at 400 psi, at 500 psi and at 600 psi. Okay, or sorry, 400 psi, then 600 psi, and then you can see 800 psi, and then the nature of the desorption is observed. So you can see, depending on the time when you have started the desorption, the hysteresis is going to change significantly. For the lowest, for the first case, when you have taken at 400 psi, the hysteresis is very less. Okay, but then when you are going to do at 600 psi, the desorption is going, the hysteresis is going to increase, and at much higher pressure, desorption, the hysteresis is going to increase much higher. Why? Because maximum at higher pressure, more and more number of gases will be adsorbed, but depending on the affinity of the gas to the coal, the more and more gas will be retained. So you will not be going to take all the gases out from the desorption process, and so there is the desorption path is also going to change. Please see the lower graph number 4. This is also very important. Whenever you are going to see the CO2 concentration, CO2 concentration means the purity of the CO2 or the fraction of the CO2. You can see that at the lowest pressure, the round circle, at the lowest pressure, the steepness is the least. At the highest pressure, 800 psi, the steepness of the graph is very high. That means the moment you are going to inject, the PVI means pore volume injected. Suppose I am going to inject the carbon dioxide, and then after some time the carbon dioxide will be going to reach the free space, and then only it will be going to reach within the coal. So within the coal, if I am going to allow the pressure at 200 psi, this is the rate of injection. This is the rate of pore volume injection. Okay. And then it is saturated at some time because it is concentration is limiting 100%. 100% concentration means at particular pressure state it is going to reach the equilibrium. But as I am going to increase the pressure 800 from 200 to 400, 600 and 800 psi, I can see that the rate of pore volume injection is going to increase. So the carbon dioxide molecules are adsorbed much quicker rate because the graph is becoming very much steeper. So it is going to take much less time. Okay, and then finally it is going to be saturated. This graph is also showing you the fraction, the mole fraction. Okay, you can see here, this is the differences. Okay, the similar graph. With the increase of the fraction, you can see with the increase of the fraction, CO2 concentration when there is a XD in the free gas phase, whenever the free gas phase was 1, so more or less very much less adsorbed. Okay, but then as the free gas component, the XD free gas component is going to reduce, the adsorbed gas component is going to increase, and so the graph, it is going to be quicker. You can see the injected volume is 0.2, 0.4. Okay, it is going to be quicker there. The next graph is going to show you the differences of the nitrogen, helium and carbon dioxide, how this gas is going to take place. That means with the, as you are going to inject the pressure, as you are going to inject the gas, its pore pressure is going to inject, and how the gas movement, the permeability, although you don't know very much about the permeability, but you know that permeability is the property of a gas or fluid so that it can move from one place to another place. And you can see that with the permeability, the pore pressure and the permeability nature is very much mild for nitrogen, but for carbon dioxide it is very much steeply decreasing. Okay. The next important graph which I need to show you, I don't want to go for the modeling, so please skip the modeling part. I want to show you, this graph. What is done here? They have saturated some coal sample with methane, pure methane, and then they are going to inject pure carbon dioxide. And then this is the observation. You can see with time, it is the affluent mole percent. Okay, that means as you are going to inject carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide percentage will increase, or the nitrogen percent, here the nitrogen, here it is the carbon dioxide. The nitrogen percentage will going to increase and the methane percentage is going to decrease. Okay, remember the N2 and the CO2 So these two are the cases for N2 and the CO2 Remember that in N2 the partial pressure is going to reduce, and so it is earlier breakthrough. So you can see that with this volume injected, the breakthrough, that means nitrogen is going to penetrate into very quicker stage, and the methane production is going to be started. Methane is going to be dissolved. See, the methane is going to be dissolved, and methane concentration is going to reduce. So methane is coming out. Methane is going to be produced. Okay, so earlier gas production is going to be happen. Whereas for the carbon dioxide, if you are going to use methane and the carbon dioxide, you can see that for this case, for N2 it is going to be gradually, okay, steeply and then gradually. Okay, but for carbon dioxide, you can see the moment you are going to inject carbon dioxide, it will take some time, because carbon dioxide it will take some equilibrium for its volume expansion depending on the temperature pressure condition, and the moment it is going to go into the coal, quickly, very much steeply, it is going to inject itself and it is going to replace the methane, and see from 100 to directly coming to 0 very quickly. Whereas for nitrogen ECBM, it is coming 100 to very slowly it is coming. Okay, so these are the two different scenario for N2 ECBM and the CO2 ECBM. If you now see this graph and see the topics of N2 ECBM and CO2 ECBM, the advantages and the disadvantages, it will be easy for you for understanding. Okay, they have done in the laboratory and they have simulated the condition for the N2 ECBM. They have saturated some coal sample with methane, pure methane, and then they are going to inject, for one case, they are going to inject pure nitrogen, and then they are going to inject pure carbon dioxide. And you can see that they have taken the similar pressure 4.14 megapascal, 4.14 megapascal. Okay, so at a particular pressure step, 600 psi. Because if you are not going to take particular pressure step, you will not going to compare them. Okay, so at a particular pressure step, how this N2 ECBM and how this CO2 ECBM is going to work. You can see here that for CO2 ECBM you can get totally replaced. It can totally replace methane and it can totally absorb the carbon dioxide. Okay, so there is no such chances of the gradual thing. But here the N2 at some point, some part of N2 will come and some part of methane will also come. So it will be, again, you have to separate it from the production gas, some production chamber. Okay, so these are the concept of the methane and carbon dioxide. In this case also, they have taken ternary displacement. Ternary displacement means earlier they have seen pure methane and then pure N2 and CO2 concentration they have taken. But now they are going to inject some mixed components of the nitrogen and carbon dioxide, and they are going to show you how the gas particles will behave in these three types of gas present. Okay, so you can see here again some 4.1 megapascal, 4.14 megapascal for all the three gases, all the three components are there, and then they have taken the experimental part and they have simulated the condition by the numerical analysis. Okay, not going for the numerical analysis, let us see for the experimental part. So you can see that this particle, the round particles are for the methane. Okay, for all the cases methane are going to be dissolved. Okay, the triangle particles are for the carbon dioxide. You can see the triangle particles are going to be in the lesser part. Okay, in the lesser part here. So here also the triangle particles are not seen here. Okay, not seen here. Okay, but here the triangle particles are in the very last stage. Here the triangular particles are very at the very earlier stage. So the gas stored is also very much higher. What is the difference in this case? Now you see 85% and 15% CO2N2. This is the mole fraction. Again, in this case, 46 to 54% CO2N2. Okay, and then last is the 24 to 76% CO2N2. Okay, that means progressively you are going to reduce the CO2 fraction and increase in the nitrogen fraction. If you are going to reduce the CO2 fraction, so obviously CO2 is not going to absorb much more. Okay, so you can see that CO2 is quickly absorbed here and going to replace very steeply. Methane is going to be steeply. The moment CO2 is going to absorb, methane is going to steeply dissolve here. Okay, and then it is going to reach totally displacement is done. In the second case, again CO2 is somewhat less, so it is very much later, but the N2 is increased. So whatever breakthrough was taken for the N2 in the earlier case, the started of the production of the methane, it is enhanced. See the time. Now it is going to be much earlier, and N2 is also going to inject much earlier. Okay, and the CO2 is much later, but the production is gradually. Okay. In the last case, you can see the CO2 is only 24%, N2 is 76%. So the breakthrough is even much more higher. You can see some earlier, and whatever the N2 part is there, the N2 part is totally taking the ECBM scenario. Earlier there was some part of the carbon dioxide, and so N2 part is also going to reduce the production. But here you will not be getting any CO2 part. You can see CO2 is all the triangles part are in the same line. So CO2 is not at all is going to absorb. Whereas you can see the methane is totally going to dissolve. So our main objective is to get total production, and then the condition is how. So they are going to take three different conditions. So there is three different gas mixtures: methane, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. Okay, that's why I wanted to show you this so that you can have some idea about the ECBM scenario. Okay, so that's all for today's discussion. Let me one thing I can say, this particular paper is of different importance. Why different importance? if you see, they are not going to take some new findings. What they have done, 5 different laboratory from the global expertise are chosen for conducting the carbon dioxide isotherm of some coal sample, argon premium coal sample. All the 5 labs are going to consider the same type, more or less same type of method, same type of experimental temperature conditions, and they are going to see if there is any different gas content. Okay, so you can see these are the participant and the affiliation: CISRO Australia, Oklahoma State University, RWTH Aachen Germany, NETL Delft Netherlands, and University of Pittsburgh USA. So these are the 5 different labs, university labs are going to take the participation. Okay, and their conditions, you can see these are the 5 different coal samples. 5 different coal samples, whatever the same argon premium coal samples you have studied, and you can see the 4 different labs. These are the conditions. Okay, maximum carbon dioxide pressure, you can see maximum temperature. Okay, so 22 and 55 degree. So more or less the different conditions has been taken here. The different mass, sample cell volume, average cell volume, reference cell volume has been given, and then they are going to consider the storage capacity and see that if the different lab, whether the results we are getting from the different lab are going to change it very heavily or not. But then they are going to see the results. Okay. Now to give you the brief idea, in that results, they have observed that yes, the results are changing. Why? Because of some experimental conditions of the different labs. Okay, although they are same, but depending on the process of conducting experiment, process of making the samples, the monitoring the temperature, monitoring the data acquisition systems, and there are some human error. Human error means, suppose I am taking the value after 2 hours when it should be taken after 1.5 hours or after 3 hours. Okay, and the way I am going to add the sample into the sample cell, maybe some fraction of the sample is going to fall down, or maybe some amount of the sample is not dry up to that much. So like that. So this is very interesting paper. There is no such particular findings. The findings only that whatever the 4 different labs, they have done the comparison, and they have shown that even if you are going to take all the similar conditions, similar sample, similar setup, okay, but then also that gas absorption capacity is going to change. Okay, and there may be some unidentified or uncontrolled error or sources of error that may be prevalent. Okay, if you want to read this paper, you will be able to get this idea. Okay, I am not going to discuss this very much because we find it is much more difficult. So that's all for today. Any questions for any one of you, if you want to discuss? Anybody?
सर
Yes.
सर
Tell
ये
me.
जो वाइवा है ना सर, ये
Yes.
पोस्टपोन हो सकता है सर?
क्यों?
सर
बोलो
अभी
क्यों?
सर मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आर ट्रेवलिंग सर, और
मैं तो
सर
बोल दिया था
अभी
ना कि
सर
आप लोग
हमको
अगर,
ना
मैं तो बोल दिया था ना कि आप लोग अगर ट्रैवल करोगे तो बोल दो, क्योंकि आफ्टर 12 आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू गिव यू एनी स्लॉट. एंड लेट मी रिमाइंड यू, once your laboratory class, total theory classes are over na, I have to give you the schedule for the summer research experience. I have to take the viva for that also. Okay, I have asked that HOD, because I cannot keep that waiting for you after the end sem or the some semester exam. I have to complete that before the semester exam. So you will be very much pressurized at that point. That's why I want to complete the viva. How many people are traveling at that point of time? Hello?
सर
How?
एग्जैक्ट नंबर तो पता नहीं है, पर मैं सर 6-7 को ट्रेवल कर रहा हूँ सर राजस्थान से.